Hey, what's up? It's your girl KeyIce, and welcome to the Rep My Block show. Today it's just me, y'all. My co-host, Grandmastar Monstar, unfortunately couldn't make it with us today, but no worries. We actually have a special guest, and she is. I'm going to let her introduce herself mainly, but just know that she is a hot, up and coming pop star. Like she is so cool, and I would like to go ahead and bring her to the stage. Please welcome Renee Audrey.
Hi, KeyIce. Thank you so much for having me.
How are you doing? Thank you for being on the show.
I'm doing great. Excited to be here. Thankful to be here. I'm really excited to talk music with you. And yeah, thanks so much.
Definitely. Now I will say, okay, well before, because I'm really excited to speak with you, because ever since I just heard about you, I've been listening to your music and I love it. Like I'm really
Oh,
a
thank
fan now,
you.
and so I just want to say that. But to introduce yourself to everybody, can you tell us where you're from? Because this is the Rep My Block show, so we definitely have to know what city you're repping.
Mm-hmm. Hi, I'm Renee Audrey. I'm from Milburn, New Jersey. Currently, I am a graduate student at Rutgers. So I live in Highland Park, New Brunswick, and love it. So that's great. I am a singer, songwriter, musician. I write songs on piano and guitar. I really enjoy writing songs about my personal experience, things that are happening in the world, social issues. And it's my passion. It's what I love. And it's really cool that I get to, still do things like this, like on the side of school. But my heart's in the music and hence why, we're here together today. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, great. Thank you so much for the introduction. Okay, so you're originally from New Jersey, and can you tell us a little bit about like when you first started music in that area? Like, is and especially compared to other areas that you may have traveled to, how it's different.
Yeah, for sure. So growing up, I've always been playing music on the piano and guitar. I started when I was 4 or 5, and I started writing music maybe when I was 7. But I really found that it was just the best way to like make things that are not so great or like difficult, to turn those things into something that's beautiful and creative and fun and a way to find light and something that's hard. And I didn't I didn't necessarily put myself out there as much in terms of music when I was in like middle school, high school, even though I was writing then, and I would put stuff out on YouTube, and my friends would, watch, and it would be, really, really, it's very sweet that they would support me in that. But my main kind of blossoming into music, when I really started gigging more, when I really started um, uh, playing gigs, was in college. I went to Muhlenberg College, which is in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and
Okay.
it's a small liberal arts school. But I was really able to have so many opportunities to play gigs there. Like I had my own radio show on college radio, and I played for a bunch of gigs on campus, which was really great. Definitely a lot of pop music, lots of pop music. That was honestly what was most popular in terms of the scene. I guess whatever was top charting, or how how that is. Um,
Yes.
but and then I found I really loved music and radio, and then I found myself really enjoying psychology and wanting to pursue that,
Mm.
balancing both grad school and music too. But yeah, it's been a long road, but it's been a really great one.
Wow. Yes. I mean, um, you have definitely, you have tons of experience. When I heard, 4 to 5 years old and then writing your first song at 7, I was like, okay, goodness, wow. Okay, so, and I know you play okay guitar and piano, and so which one, when you wrote your first song at 7, was that gears towards one of those instruments, or was it more of solo, like audio singing?
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess I started kind of getting into writing songs when I was 7. I didn't actually
Okay.
I didn't the songs that I wrote at 7 are definitely not the songs that I've released.
yeah, yeah.
um,
Right.
the lots of cliche rhymes, lots of like stories about recess. But I would
Still cool.
in high school was when I really started writing songs. Like I had this awesome opportunity to I wrote a song about substance use. In my high school I was like a part of their peer leadership program, which basically like educated like younger kids in the community about like how to be substance free. And I wrote a song about substance use and basically in terms of to promote a message of to for like younger kids and adolescents to listen to, be like, okay, this is like in line with the message of like this peer leadership program, but also um, but I entered it into this contest that was with the Grammy Foundation. And
Okay.
when I was 16, I won second place in this contest for this song. And then since that opportunity in high school, like I was flown to LA, I got to see the Grammy
Wow.
rehearsals. It was like so cool. Um,
Yes.
and it was really awesome. But I feel like from there, that's really when I was taking like my songwriting more seriously. And actually, some of
Okay.
the songs that I wrote um, that are on like Spotify are ones I wrote in high school.
Oh, okay. I see. Wow. Okay. So let's backtrack a little bit to some other things you said about the because you have so much experience just in general. Because when I hear keyword like trigger words like Grammys, like what Grammys, so it's like, okay. So can you tell us a little bit more about that experience, like how that came about? You said it was a contest for the
Yeah,
Grammys.
it
Okay.
was the Teens Make Music contest, and I like
Okay.
entered it like by a fluke. It was one evening, and I literally was sick, and I had my music teacher, like when he came for the lesson, he was like, I heard about this contest, maybe you should enter. I was like, I literally am sick. We don't even have equipment to like do a good recording. He's like, it's fine, it doesn't matter. Like, let's just do it.
Uh-huh.
And then I remember like sitting in class, like getting all these calls from like California. I was like, why are these telemarketers calling me? And then I realized that it was actually this contest telling me that I got second
Wow.
place, which is really cool. But yeah, they flew us out to LA, and they took us to like the village, like the recording studio where like lots of the greats and the best of the best have recorded. And we got to see rehearsals of the Grammys, and we got to go
Wow.
backstage, see the dressing rooms. We got to say hi to some cool people. We got to see all of them rehearse in their like pajamas, and like sweats, like no makeup, sweats. Like we couldn't record any of it, of course, but it was like such a cool
Right.
experience. And the other two I was second place. The other two winners that were there were also really great musicians and artists. So that was like it was really cool.
Wow, that is really cool, and congratulations on that. That's awesome. Wow.
Thanks.
Yes, definitely. And you mentioned that you're a graduate student right now, and so I do want to kind of talk about that because music, music just by itself is already difficult. So like, how has your experience been trying to juggle between the college and music at the same time?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like when I was in college, it was a little bit easier to balance in terms of school and music because I could play gigs on campus. Like it was great. I
Oh
could
yeah.
just like walk out of my dorm and like go to the place where I would perform. And I had some cool opportunities there. Like do you watch The Office? Have you ever seen
Yes.
The Office?
Oh
So
yes.
Creed Bratton,
Uh-huh.
he's actually a music he's from he was in the Grassroots, but he performed, and I actually opened for his set
Oh, really?
when he came to my college for like a family, I think it was family weekend or something.
Wow.
But but in grad school, it's a little bit more difficult. I'm currently in a doctoral program for clinical
Okay.
psychology. And I will say my hours and days are very long. But I really am. I'm playing music every second that I'm not doing, other than sleeping. Every second that I'm not like in class or with patients or doing assignments and clinical work. But it's definitely a little bit tougher to manage that way. I find myself with my busier schedule wanting to record more, wanting to do more writing. I feel like I can, I feel like I feel like it's kind of like a nice hibernation time in terms of music. Like I'm not necessarily going out and gigging because of like the time constraint of like preparation, rehearsing, and then all of that on top of my grad schedule. But
Right.
I find that like when I can just, turn my brain off and just do the thing that I loved to do with music, it just like I'm able to, it's in a way it's helpful because it's not too much pressure on like writing the song, writing a good song, making sure that the song's good, recording it, getting it out fast, and that things that like my time and energy is relying on it so heavily. I feel like sometimes when you can take a little bit of space from it and then you can come to it, you're really able to do you're really able to like do some really good work. So I feel really excited with the songs that I've written and been able to record in grad school, which is a really awesome and fortunate opportunity. But it's definitely been a shift for sure.
I bet. Wow. I mean, I'm sure always pretty busy or very busy. And can you tell us like what made you decide to choose that major? Like, what was
Yeah.
your inspiration?
Yeah. So when I was in undergrad, I had my radio show. I actually went into undergrad wanting to be a chemistry major. I was a chemistry major. I
Okay.
hated it. Oh my God, did I hate it? It was so painful. I was like, nobody wants to talk. Everyone just wants to be quiet. I mean, I was very talkative, and there were some obviously such lovely people in my class, and the friends that I made in those classes I have to this day.
Uh-huh.
But it was definitely not my vibe. I definitely was not meant to be not meant to go into chemistry. But I ended up switching my major to media communications, and I had my radio show, and I just loved it. I was like, maybe I should be a disc jockey. Like maybe I should go into radio. And I had a iHeartRadio internship lined up
Uh-huh.
right before COVID hit. And
Oh,
COVID hit, my internship at iHeart got postponed. And then in that time, I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do with this, time that we don't know is, all this time in which we're at home, we don't know when it's going to end, or at least at that
right.
time we didn't know. And so I decided to create a podcast where I would bring artists kind of similar to like what you're doing, actually, to like what like this show is.
Super
But
cool.
yeah, I would bring artists on. We would look at the lyrics and analyze stuff, and I would bring on like psychologists and nutritionists and like different people. We would analyze a song together and talk about their field of work. And I realized when I would interview like mental health professionals and educators and things like that, I really wanted to also be that person. Like I wanted to simultaneously be the one that's like, the interviewer. And that's like what you're doing so amazingly, like asking me questions and hosting. And
Yeah.
I loved doing that. And I was like, well, I really also like, I found myself really loving the field of psychology. And I, I also, it's very near and dear to me, mental health, especially, and my own journey with it. And I feel like going into psychology was definitely something that I was meant to do alongside music. So after I did that podcast, I was, finding myself really wanting to pursue psychology. So I applied to a bunch of programs and I got in, and I'm at Rutgers Graduate School of Applied and Professional Psychology.
Wow, that is so awesome. And
Thank
then, in the way that you found out or discovered that you wanted to do that is really cool too, because you
you.
had your show going, and you actually still have the show going as well, right? It's on Thursdays, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow. You really do your research. I actually don't, since I'm not a college student there at Muhlenberg anymore, I don't have a radio show. I
Okay.
really was thinking about doing, that's so funny. You're right, though. I would have been on Thursday. I really thought about like going to Rutgers and asking if they would if they would have a grad student, do a radio slot. But I just with my schedule, like it's just really wild in terms of the timing of the schedule. Once I'm in later years of the program, then it will kind of, I'll be able to maybe pursue that, which will be nice. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yes, and that's so awesome. And I do also want to ask, with the music that you have out currently, you have 6 singles out right now.
Mhm.
Um, what I mean, and all of them are also like your very first song, because typically artists with their very first song, it doesn't sound as professional. It's like they're getting into the groove of things, but yours sounds like really professional.
Thank you.
So yes, and what did you go through a studio that like what was your beginning process like? For that very first single that you have, Riptide.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, yeah, this Riptide.
Yeah,
Yes.
Riptide. So when I recorded Riptide, what happened was this was in my I want to say junior year of college. One of my friends was like, "Hey, I want to for one of my classes we're doing a music video. Would you want to do one for yours? Would you want to do one for your song?" And I was like, "Yeah, are you kidding?" But the recording that I had of it, actually, I'm sure you could honestly find it on YouTube at this point, but it's a recording that I did in high school of it. And I was like, I cannot submit that recording. I sound very little. I sound much tinier in that recording. And I was like, you know what, maybe. So I spoke with my mentor, an incredible musician and artist, Hayden Grayson. Oh my gosh, he's phenomenal. He has been working with me since I was 9 years old. But he put me in touch with another incredible musician and artist, Anthony Crizen, who actually was in the Spin Doctors, and he is actually the one that produced. He has his own studio, and he was kind enough to produce that song for me and the ones after too.
Super cool.
And oh my gosh, I learned so much from him. And he's actually Anthony is currently in an Eagles tribute band, which is which is really, really awesome. He's selling out major shows. And so so when I recorded that, I was my first song that I ever recorded with Anthony. I was very much going into it I've never really been at a fancy schmancy, me being the one recorded fancy schmancy studio, and it was just so great, working with him, and that was really awesome. It was really just me with the piano, and then some choir, I'm losing I forget. The word is escaping me. But another a line with a choir.
Okay.
And that, yeah, and it was just really simple, and it was I really wanted it to be simple, which was great. I mean, I think my songs have increased a little bit in production complexity, which is cool. But yeah, that was my first song release on Spotify and all the platforms and all that jazz.
Wow, that's amazing. And I mean, again, great job at that, because again, it's not typical for a new artist to have such crystal clear quality in their music at the beginning. So that's super amazing. And let's get into because I know you have some other releases, but your latest release is Big Break. And so could you tell us a little bit about that release, and then we'll go ahead and play the video for that one.
Yeah. So Big Break is a song that I wrote about about how social media is affecting fame. And how we see frequently that social media has become such an agent for musicians and artists to for people to come out there and to put out their music. And there was actually an alumnus of Muhlenberg where I attended, and he is a major name in the music industry. And he came and spoke with us, and I asked him about how, TikTok and social media has affected the music industry. And he talked about how actually so much of his, work is scrolling on TikTok. And rather than going out and going to places and seeing. And the song is about that shift, and how we find that I feel that it tells a story of a girl who an influencer who decides to ditch social media and nobody knows where she is, and it's about how we are how so frequently we're becoming, you know, just so attached to our phones in the desire of possibly getting famous, or so attached to social media in the possibility of gaining all this fame, and we kind of lose sight of like what's important. But
Okay.
yeah, so that's essentially what it's about. But yeah, thanks so much.
Okay. Okay, great. And let's go ahead and take a listen to it. We won't play the whole video because we'll play a part of the video, but there's a part of the video I want to ask you about in particular, but we'll go ahead and show that now.
Cool.
Where did she go? Did she start a fire? All that we know of her expired. The two-dimensional gears float in the digital space. Lost in a insatiable world, obsessed with faces. It's so tasteless. Moving angel for what's not yours. Everything inside becomes so subpar. It's all so offensive. How dare you breathe? You inhale the life I always dream. Breathe it out, breathe it out, breathe it out. All the kids are screaming to breathe in. They have it now, paper now. Take a bow. It's gonna believe it. Do you believe it? Where did she go? How can we find her? Find her. She lives down the road, but face-to-face is required. Is it really that dire? That's tandem race, tick-tocking down the train, waiting for the big break. How was she so brave? Losing hatred for what's not yours. Everything becomes so far. It's all so offensive. How dare you breathe? You inhale the life I always dream. Breathe it out, breathe it out, breathe it out. All the kids are screaming to breathe in. They have it now, paper now. Take a bow. It's gonna believe it. But do you believe it? Here for the big break. Everyone dreaming for their own sake. Are you just here for the big break? Here for the big break. Here for the big break. Does your soul rest on approval? Threatened by pixelated ego? Are you just here for the big break? Here for the big break. Here for the big break.
Yes, that is so awesome.
Thanks.
I love your video. Oh my gosh, I
Thank
love the video
you.
and the whole concept behind it. Okay, so can you tell me now? I don't. Some days I'm slow. I'm sorry, but
Okay.
with the blindfolds, can you tell me about what the blindfolds stand for?
Yeah. So so the girls that are the influencer, the girls that are blindfolded, they're her followers, but it's supposed to speak to how like the followers are blindly like following the influencer, that like
Okay.
we're just choosing to follow people that we like think that are, you know, are these influencers and all these things, but we're blindly following people. Like we don't know who these people are. You know what I mean?
That's deep.
So
Yeah.
that's essentially what it's a little bit literal, but
Yeah. Okay. No, that's really deep. And yeah. Oh wow. Okay. And the part of the video where it looked like you were like the psychologist writing notes down and
Yeah.
stuff. Can you tell me about that part of the video? Like, what
Yeah.
was behind that?
Yeah. It really speaks to how social media, I really wanted to speak there as to like how social media has been so detrimental to the mental health of like lots of young consumers.
Yes.
There's a ton of new research coming out that's saying how, especially for young girls and adolescents, and how it's increased. Yes, May is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Love that plug there. But yeah, how it really has been, how social media has really been detrimental for not for young adolescents in general, specifically young girls, increased symptoms of and habits of eating disorders, self-esteem, body image issues, body dysmorphic disorder. Like this, it is having so much connectivity. Like connectivity in its like true essence is beautiful. It's amazing. That's what we want. We want to be connected to others. But with technology, it's such a slippery slope, especially with social media. Like it is such a slippery slope, and we find ourselves, completely we find ourselves completely like attached and leaning on validation and leaning on likes and comments and all these things to make ourselves feel like we have value in the world.
Yeah, it's really sad.
Yeah, it is. And it's like, because social media can be a great tool. Like, oh my God, it could be a really great tool.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of what the research is coming out, there's a really phenomenal book that I read that's by Dr. Jonathan Haidt. And he released this book called The Anxious Generation. And he talks about how we got here. Like, how did we get to this being the case? And he talks about social media and its effect on young adolescents and children and adults generally too. But really talking about more specifically towards like, school students, how can we, increase connectivity face to face and in person, and how can we create more opportunities for that? And the way to do that is to not be on social media as much, which is something that he talks about in his book that really stuck with me, about how, like, if you ask a middle schooler, like if you tell a middle schooler, I'm going to take your social media away, the middle schooler will be like, no,
crazy.
Please don't do it. But if you say to the kid, I'll take yours away, but I'll take everyone else's too, would you do it? And their answer is like, yes, please. Like, I actually would prefer that. So like, and his work has really inspired like a lot of the songs that I'm writing now, actually. But how like we have these like young consumers that know that it's not helpful to them, but they're still engaging in it. So like ultimately with this song, I really wanted to create more awareness about how, like, we can have, connection and to raise awareness about how social media is affecting us, but also, let's prioritize what's important. Like, is, being obviously, like, embracing passions and doing the things that you love. That's what life's all about, right? But like, also, like, when we're on social media, we're doing it to connect, but also like recognizing that so much of that comes with, and you could also get famous. So, and ultimately the possibility of getting famous kind of wins in that, those options that you're giving, these young adolescents and young adults.
Definitely. And thank you for that, because you broke it down to where actually that was a really cool, and you said that was that experiment that was done, you said, where if they take one, if they were to take one phone away, they would say no, and then if the whole class's phones were taken away, they would say yes.
Yeah. So like in this book, like Jonathan Haidt talks about how like these younger kids are aware that it's not helpful to them. Like, they're aware that it's a problem, but it's
just like sugar.
Yes. Yeah. Basically. But I highly recommend his book. And this is not an ad or anything. I'm just a huge Jonathan Haidt fan. I just think that he's really brilliant. But I really appreciate that book. But like, ultimately, social media is a fun tool, but it can be, dangerous, especially when it's, in the hands of young kids.
Oh, most definitely. And because kids, they really have no what do you call it? There's no stop. Like, they don't know when to stop.
It's all gas. It's all gas, no brakes.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like my son, oh my gosh, I have a son who he's really addicted. He's he even started creating alternate accounts, and I didn't find this out till recently. So it's just goodness. I have to play detective all the time. But I definitely understand that for sure. And thank you for breaking that down. You know, because a lot of people don't think about that, especially especially with the kids involved. But yes, everybody, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so we definitely want to emphasize that anybody out there that needs help, make sure you're trying to get the help you need. You have friends, family around you that really care for you, so make sure you do that.
Mhm.
Um, I did want to ask you before we go.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, who is your favorite singer?
Oh, my favorite artist of all time is got to be Miley Cyrus.
Okay.
I'm always obsessed with always obsessed with her music in her early Hannah Montana days. But
Yes.
I love Miley. I think that she is such an icon. Her music's amazing. Like she she's really phenomenal. But I really love Billy Joel. um I Yeah, I really love Billy Joel, and the Strokes. So I gave you a couple.
Okay.
The Strokes
Yeah.
are more alternative rock, but Billy Joel is, he's a classic. But Miley Cyrus, she will always be my number one.
Oh, she's a great pick. Yeah, I'm a fan of Miley as well, and Billy Joel actually. And surprisingly, at the age of I'm not gonna put my age out there, but anyway, I'm a Billy Joel fan too. But so awesome. And can you tell us like what projects are you working on right now?
Yeah. So I actually, this is actually the first time that I'm bringing this up to literally anyone, or in a larger scale capacity. But I'm actually in the process of like kind of phasing out of social media and switching things to
Oh,
a blog.
okay.
Literally an inspiration of Big Break, an inspiration of the work that Jonathan Haidt has done. But I am working on a blog that I hope will be published by um, first week of June. That's my goal. But it will be called The Rockstar Psychologist.
Okay.
But in training, I'm not a psychologist yet. I can't say that yet.
Okay.
um, but that's something that I'm working on. But I also have two new releases coming up. Hope for them to be released on June 7th. That's my tentative date. But basically, I plan to release two versions of the same song. One is rock and one's a ballad. Um,
Okay.
Same lyrics, same music, mostly same chords, but it's just two different ways. One of them is like telling the story like you're angry, you're upset, you're pissed off, and then the other one is like you're crying, you're sad. This is the hard part. This is like the real emotional stuff. So
Okay.
it's produced really differently. So I have one produced in like a ballad, like kind of me and the piano, with some strings, and then the other one is like we are going full drums, like four different guitars, um,
Wow.
and it's a lot more rock, and it's more like fun, but it's like
Mhm.
mainly like you have the anger and like you have the anger and the aggression in like the rock version, and you have the really like sad and heartfelt and gut wrenching one with the ballad. But the songs are called Cover My Ears, which I hope will
Okay.
be released again on June 7th. But and when I get that blog up and running, I'll let you know. But it'll hopefully be
Okay.
called the Rockstar Psychologist. But that's something that's kind of percolating in the back of my brain. But ultimately, I feel like the social media is great, and you can also find me on social media at renee.aud. But I the main projects that I got going on right now are like the two versions of the same song. It's been a while since I released a song because of the second year is like really intense in my program. Um,
Mhm.
but oh, thank you for that plug. But I these two versions, I really wanted to be like, okay, it's been a while. I'll give them a 2 for 1. So
That is so awesome. Wow.
thank
I can't wait to hear it. I'm definitely following you right now on all your
you.
platforms, and
Thank you.
we'll definitely stay in touch with you to find out what you're working on.
Yeah,
Looking forward to your blog, and
thanks.
much success. Thank you so much for being on the show with us today.
Thank
It's
you,
been a
KeyIce.
pleasure, and
Yes.
we'd like to invite you back. later, if you if you are free and would like to, we
Yeah.
would like to definitely invite you back after your single releases in June.
Thank you. So sweet. Thank you so much. It was so wonderful talking with you. And thank you for having me. Thank you for your time.
Sure.
Like, this is really cool for me. So thank you so much. And it was a pleasure, meeting you and getting to be on the Rep My Blocks show. So cool.
All right, everybody, this is Renee Audrey. Thank you again. You have a great one, Audrey.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that was Renee Audrey, everybody. That was Renee Audrey. She again, she's an up and coming singer, songwriter. Um, she's the one to look out for. I'm going to go ahead and show her social again. Make sure you're following her on Instagram at renee.aud. She is so awesome. It was really a pleasure speaking with her today. And I was hoping that my co-host would be here today, but he was not. So that's okay, because I wanted to talk to you guys about the beefs. I mean, because the beefs have been, they really have gotten crazy. The rap beefs with Drake and Kendrick Lamar. And let's see if we actually have. Usually when we talk about, okay, here we go. Here's a Drake one. Let's talk about Drake real quick because, okay. So everybody, about the beefs that have been going on between Drake and Kendrick, right? So as far as the songs are concerned, they've had a series of different songs going back and forth with each other. And I'm starting off with Drake, even though Kendrick Lamar was actually the one that he was actually the one that most people think won. Okay, I'll just say that most people think Kendrick Lamar won. I'm not going to go on either side as I speak on this, because what we're mainly talking about here is a battle of, I mean, the more and more that it went on, I've started realizing that it's more of a battle between who people feel is better lyrically, right? But at the same time, both artists are different in their own right. They have a different fan base, but their fan base actually does overlap. And so basically Metro Boomin and Future, they had their a song called Like That featuring Kendrick Lamar. So according to the most recent beef, again, this is a beef that's been going on for several years. I saw as far back as like 2013, 2014, right? But anyway, most recently, Kendrick Lamar had went on to he was featured on Metro Boomin and Future song called Like That. And then on that song, this is when supposedly it started, okay? So you can argue with me if you want to in the comments. But anyway, Drake, he came back with push-ups, okay? He came back with push-ups. That song was really popular for half a minute. All of this happened between the course of just some weeks. Now, Metro Boomin and Future song Like That with Kendrick on it was back in March 26th. And then we had Drake's push-up song, which was in April. So that was like, he took a couple weeks to even respond, because remember the J. Cole, he had released his album and all that stuff. So anyway, Drake came out with push-ups, and then, again, later he came out with Tailor-Made Freestyle. So he came out with two back-to-back. He was like, Kendrick, when you going to respond? Da, 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 da. You know what I'm saying? Kendrick waited until April 30th to reply. He responded with Euphoria. And congratulations to him right now, because Euphoria actually made it to the Billboard Hot 100. It is number 11. It entered at number 11 this past week. And so Euphoria, a lot of people were like, Euphoria doesn't really sound like a diss track. It sounds more like a Kendrick Lamar, actual album drop, or, release single drop, which it did. But nevertheless, it made the Billboard Hot 100. And then Kendrick then came out with 616 in LA. This was one that he dropped only on his Instagram, and I think it's now on his YouTube as well. I'm thinking backwards. TaylorMade Freestyle. TaylorMade Freestyle was the one with when Drake he had featured AI he had featured AI versions of Snoop Dogg and Tupac. So the Tupac estate didn't like that. They said, no, we taking back TaylorMade Free, take it off. So he had to actually delete TaylorMade Freestyle. But anyway, Euphoria came out after that by Kendrick Lamar, then 616 in LA. Then Drake's Family Matters. So 616 in LA and Family Matters, they both came out on the 3rd, May 3rd. Then you had Kendrick Lamar drop Meet the Grand. It was like a whirlwind, basically. But what I'm trying to get at with respect to Drake is that after all of that happened, after all these diss tracks happened, even after Drake's The Heart Part 6, which was on May 5th, somebody went to London, vandalized an OVO store, and somebody went to Drake's residence in Toronto, Canada, and they were shooting outside of his residence. One of his security guards got harmed. And so my thing about that was that, we know everybody's been all like, who's going to win? Da, 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 da. But there is definitely a human aspect of it that needs to be also looked at, because you can't necessarily just go for, whoever's, like such and such going to win or whatever, without recognizing the fact that humans are involved with this. Somebody actually got hurt. We don't know necessarily if it's tied directly to the rap beefs or not, but most likely it was. Come on. I saw a lot of people saying it's not tied to it, but most likely it was. So there is a level of responsibility that we all should have as fans, to kind of, when you see that type of thing happen, we really shouldn't be like, oh, who, like still beefing it up like that. That's a time to kind of tone it down. You know what I mean? Because somebody actually got hurt. He was in serious condition, taken to the hospital. You know what I mean? And much prayers to him recovering. But my thing is, we don't want it to get to like nothing dealing with no Tupac, Biggie type of thing. We don't want it to escalate to that. But, back in those days, social media wasn't here to, beef it up, add on to it. You know what I mean? So I just want to just say, out of respect for the artists, respect for ourselves, to, let's tone it down a little bit. I know it's already been toned down a little bit, but I still see certain media still really hyping it up. And I'm like, after that incident, we really just need to chill out a little bit, just lay low, you know what I'm saying? Lay low and just see how we can help the situation. Because both of these artists are really great artists and they both have their own fans. But what I want to do actually is we're doing a comparison of some of the different let me see. I wanted to do a comparison of the two artists because I wanted to show you guys how closely they overlap as far as their fan base and things like that. So that's what I want to take a look at during this time with you guys. And I don't know if y'all heard about Shaq. He actually did a beef. He has a beef going on with Shannon Sharp right now, which is crazy. But that was something to note as well. Just a lot of beefs going on. I mean, what's up with all this beefs? 2024 is definitely the year of the beefs. They got Suki with JT. They're beefing. All these people beefing is crazy. But I'm going to go ahead and share. Let me see if I can move this tab over. I'm going to go ahead and share a I'm all close. Let's go back. Let's go back a little bit. I want to share with you guys one of the comparisons. And also, as this is happening, I want to also give a shout out to Vibrate or Vibrate. Vibrate. I say Vibrate. I don't even know why I say Vibrate, but I'm going to say Vibrate. That's one of our music analytics platforms that we use. Let's see. My co-host left me in the code, y'all. This is how Grandmastar Bass Monstar does me. I was like, really, bro? Really, bro? If you're watching Grandmaster Bass Monstar, or when you watch this, just know you did me wrong today. I'm playing. But anyway, let's go up to, let's see. Can you guys see my screen first of all? Let's make sure you can see my screen. No, you cannot see my screen yet. Let's make sure you can see my screen. Okay. Here we go. Let's take off the overlay. We'll put the background on. Let's see here. Okay. So here's what we're looking at. We have, let me take myself off. I'm gonna go off cam. So we have the vibrate screen, but I want to show you guys the comparison between Drake and the comparison between Drake and Kendrick Lamar. So we're going to select Drake. Actually, let's do a compare. Shout out to vibrate.com. They are one of our affiliates. Our affiliates for music. And I would like to go into this a little bit more because, let's see. Okay, so we're going to compare Drake and Kendrick Lamar. Here he is right here because we were just looking at him the other day. This is a really cool feature that not other, all of the music analytics platforms actually don't have this. But this is just something to be aware of if you are an artist out there. Let me go ahead and take off the background. No, let's keep the background. Background's not bothering anybody. Okay. So this is the comparison here. We got Drake and Kendrick Lamar. Okay. So a lot of people, the reason I'm doing this actually is because a lot of people have been comparing them. And so I just wanted to break it down a little bit. Okay. So each of the music analytics platforms, they have their own comparison ratings as well. So when you go there, the results may be skewed a little bit. However, the main thing to look out for is things like the rank. Okay, so Drake, ever since this beef has started, Drake has actually gone down 3 points in his overall rank. He was at 6, he's gone down to 9. Again, this one is for Vibrate, but on other platforms, he's actually been a little higher than that. I think the highest one I saw him at was on Chartmetric at number 4, if I'm not mistaken. And I will correct myself later if I'm wrong. But he is currently ranking at number 9 on Vibrate. I can't say Vibrate again. Vibrate. Kendrick Lamar has gone up 42. Now this one don't make sense because it says he's 35, right? He's at position 35, and it says he's going up 42. Now the math ain't mathing right there. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, let's go into the actual. And again, this is Drake on the left side of the screen and Kendrick Lamar on the right side of the screen. And so Drake, they show the vibrate points here. We're actually going to scroll down past this because right now I'm most interested in the fan base yearly growth. Now, to me, this type of thing kind of tells us, mind you, that this year we're just in May. We still have a long way to go, right? And so this shows us the growth in their followers between the years. I like this comparison a lot because it can kind of tell you, especially if you're tracking over a period of time, it can tell you what exactly has changed. You know what I mean? So typically most analysts, they'll track at least weekly. You know what I mean? And so Drake, his followers are at, this is the growth again. This is not like saying how many they've, I'll get to the Facebook metric in a minute because Facebook, y'all are a trip. But anyway, Spotify's shown a lot of love to both artists. Drake has grown by 12.1 million followers over the past year. Kendrick has grown over 4 million. That is amazing. Like, y'all, that is really amazing. shout out to both artists for that, as well as look at this, the YouTube subscriber base, the growth in that. Drake is at 1.8 million, Kendrick is at 1.5 million. That is really big for both, and it's really compatible. So a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Kendrick has the most views for his YouTube, right?" But if you look at the overall growth for this is year to date, Drake and Kendrick Lamar are really together. And Drake does have a line in his last diss track where he was basically saying that he's helping Kendrick with his numbers. And I mean, if you track the numbers, then you could actually come to that conclusion. But anyway, follower wise, Drake has grown 10.1 million followers in the past year. Kendrick Lamar has grown 1.9 million. Now look at this, y'all. This is the one. This is the one. Because I was like, what's really going on Facebook? Facebook, are y'all hating or what? What's going on Facebook? Facebook, Drake is minus 338,000 followers. Kendrick is minus 115,000 followers. What's up with that? Okay, my take on it is that Facebook does tend to be a platform mainly for primarily 25 to 35-year-olds. That is the primary base for Facebook as far as age, right? So I'm thinking, at that age in your life, you're probably kind of maturing a little bit and you're like over it. You're over a lot of things. So that's why you hop onto Facebook, because you're over the TikToks, you're over the Instagrams, you're over all of that, right? So I think these numbers here reflect people that have tried other platforms, don't like them, don't like all the hot mess that goes on them. And so they're like, nah, I'm not having it. We're not even going to follow that type of, we're changing our whole, our whole positivity aura. You know what I mean? So I think that's what's happening on Facebook in general. But yeah, Drake and Kendrick Lamar representatives, if you're checking this out, make sure y'all check out those Facebook numbers and hit us up if you need help there, because that's something that we help on. And the other platforms are pretty much, the same. Kendrick Lamar does not have a TikTok, so that's NA for him there. But Drake has seen a growth of 509,000 TikTok followers. I did check a little bit more thoroughly into his actual most recent followings. And Drake actually has had a small decrease in followers on TikTok most recently. And this is probably in light of some of the allegations towards him from the songs that Kendrick has released most recently. Now, as far as YouTube, I did want to talk about this because this one was really interesting to me. Drake's top most viewed YouTube video of all time is the Future video, Life is Good, featuring Drake. So it's actually not Drake's own video. It is a video featuring him. And I was like, wow. Same for Kendrick. His top viewed all-time video on YouTube is Taylor Swift's video featuring him, Bad Blood. Drake's is at 2.2 billion views and Kendrick's is at 1.6 billion views. And I was like, this actually should open some eyes, especially for independent artists in particular who are really particular about collabing. I see a lot of independent artists say, they say it's not good to, they basically like, oh, I'm on my own, I don't like to collab, da 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 da. But as you see, even your top superstar artists, they are collabing, and their collab, the collab videos are actually getting the most views. So if you are into that, I highly recommend that if you are an independent artist, that you do try out the collabs. There's nothing wrong with collabing with other artists. You know what I mean? Because it can help boost your following and your follower base. There is another set of analytics that I wanted to show you guys because it was really cool. And again, this one right here, we're on Vibrate. And this is overall. Drake is right now, he's number 2 overall in hip hop, number 2 contemporary hip hop, which is like the hip hop you hear on the radio. Then we got Kendrick at number 6 overall hip hop and number 5 overall contemporary hip hop. So it's really cool to actually analyze your music when you put it out, and not just put out not just put it out, but actually analyze it. So if you can hold with me for just a second, I'm going to actually switch over to the chart metric because this is our primary analytics platform, and chart metric has some cool figures as well. And I wanted to show you guys a really cool feature of chart metric that a lot of people don't know about because they do not subscribe to the premium analytics for that platform. But it's really cool because it gives you an insight into like who's actually watching your stuff, who's actually, where your fans really are, who's watching it, why they might be watching, why they might be watching it. So I think that's really cool to do. So as we're switching over to there, I'm going to go ahead and stop the share for a second. We're going to stop the share. We're going to stop the share. And I'll put myself back on camera. Okay, I'm back on camera for a minute. Okay. So we stopped the share. We're going to go over to chart metric. Actually, let me log in first. Let me log in the chart. Oh, yeah, I'm still logged in. Okay, great. We're going to do some comparisons. Well, it's going to be a different type. We're not going to do full comparison. But let me switch over to chart metric here. Please bear with me because these are really cool stats I want to share with you guys. You might be like, oh, this is on a Saturday. What are you talking about this on a Saturday? But it's cool stuff on a Saturday for nerds like me. You know what I'm saying? If you're a nerd like me, this should be really enlightening for you. Okay. Can you see? Oh, you cannot see my screen yet. Okay. Here we go. So let's check out Drake. Okay. So we switched to the chart metric platform here. And let's give them a shout out. Shout out to chart metric. Because they're my fave. They really are my fave. No disrespect to any of the other music platforms out there, analytics platforms, but Chartmetric is my fave. Because right at the top here, they tell you exactly. They do a career snapshot. They're like, okay, this is Drake's, okay? They say Drake is a superstar, and his momentum is steady. Recent momentum, okay? And then his network strength is influential. He has the highest rating for network strength. That means, like, does he appear to be networking with his fans? Like, what type of stuff is he actually engaging with in his fans? Social engagement, influential. He's the top there as well. So he's a superstar. He has steady recent momentum, influential network strength, and social media engagement. Okay? That's what's up. And let's see here. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to go down. All of this stuff is really cool, but there's a particular I want to talk about the airplay, and I want to talk about the where is it brands. Let's do the airplay first, since that's what most people are more interested in typically. Okay, so we got the airplay for Drake here. Okay, the airplay shows. This is a summary. I really like the fact that they put the whole map of the world on this, on their analytics to kind of tell you where the concentration of their fan base is. You see some really dark green. The darker the green, the more overlaps you have. So you see some really dark green overlapping here in the Midwest to Northeast U.S. Then you got some in the more southern. Now, I really don't even like to say Midwest because Midwest is really over here, if you ask me. But anyway, you also see some in the little middle central area of the U.S. You have a really tiny little overlap right here in the London area. And I can definitely see that's why he has his OVO store out there in that region. But let's also talk about his actual plays. So this is the airplay. What we were looking at right there, that's the airplay. And that was showing the top 50 cities by play, okay? When I said okay, that reminds me of that Drake song. He says, okay. Anyway, sorry, I'm being silly. Okay. His top played tracks right now, okay? He has the You Broke My Heart right from the start. That's his top track, y'all. Man, I was listening to that earlier today. That's my jam. You broke my heart right from the start. Okay, I can't sing, y'all. Sorry. Okay, anyway, then we got the Act 2. That's a Drake. He's in a remix. That one is big though, because that's like his number 2. Wait for You, Rich Baby Daddy, First Person Shooter, One Dance. As you see, none of his top played tracks are any of the diss tracks, right? Okay. That's important to note. We're looking at the last 28 days. Actually, I want to look at the last 14 days. We only care about the ones within the last 14 days because we're talking about the beefs right now. We're trying to summarize these beefs, like what the effects have been, the side effects of the rap beefs. So side effect wise, we actually haven't seen none of his beef tracks being the top played ones. You got the Act 2 remix that he's on, the You Broke My Heart. Man, that's a jam. I want to hear it right now, but I can't play it. I cannot play it on. Okay. And then here you have the breakdown by actual, it tells you literally what the numbers are. So I do like that. Okay. So that's just something to note for him. But let's skip over to the brands because this is super cool right here. The brands. These are the brands. Okay, this is followers of these brands basically are Drake's top followers. This is very key because Nike, don't y'all remember, there was something out in the main headlines this past week. They were mentioning some brands and were saying some brands had an issue with this disc going on with some of the allegations that were made because they were saying Drake is hurting the brand. Nike was one of the brands that was mentioned, and they are the top. They're at the top of the list for people that follow Nike are Drake's top fans. So that's how you're supposed to read this chart. So that's very key. I didn't see Adidas or Gucci mentioned in those brands, but I'm sure they had some concern as well. I don't know if they were affected, but I think he has deals with different brands. But Nike, Gucci, Adidas, NBA, Puma, Lamborghini, those are the top brands. Well, I'll say followers of those brands tend to follow Drake the most. That's the best way to say it, okay? And then we have the categories here, breaking it down by category, or the activewear followers, luxury goods followers, sports followers. Even wedding. Drake don't really got no wedding songs, does he? I don't know. But that's just FYI. That's really good to know because this type of breakdown is available for everybody, even independent artists. But what you got to do is you have to make sure your stuff, your music is actually registered on the different analytics platforms, or they cannot break it down for you if it's not registered. Make sure everything's registered because that's how you get onto these really in-depth analytics. So let's check out Kendrick Lamar. Let's check out his plays, and then we're going to jump over to his brands. Whoops. Just taking this little tiny lot. I just looked at him. Goodness gracious. See, I don't have much patience sometimes. Okay. So Kendrick, let's take a look at his career snapshot real quick. So he's at the same career stage as Drake, superstar. His momentum is steady, network strength and social engagement, both influential. So he's tied right there with Drake as far as the career snapshot, where he's at in his career. For those of you that have been comparing. All right, airplay. Let's check out his airplay. I'm really curious. I looked at this already, but I'm going to pretend I didn't. as I'm commentating with y'all. So we see where he actually has a lot of the overlaps in the same regions that Drake does, as far as like where his music's being played. Let's take a look at the last 14 days to see if any of his diss tracks are his top played tracks right now. And guess what? Guess what? They are. Look at that. Not Like Us. That's his top playing track right now. Drake, none of his diss tracks were in his top playing tracks in the last 14 days, but Kendrick Lamar, Not Like Us, is his number one played track. It even shows how many plays they've gotten. This is for stations that have actually been recording it. Not all the stations recorded, and I actually saw one super low number the other day that I need to investigate because I was like, it can't be that low. So all of the radio stations, make sure when y'all sending y'all music to these stations, they're actually tracking their numbers, because some of them, they say they're tracking, but they're not really tracking. Euphoria. Euphoria is his number 2. And then you got Humble, and then you got The Love featuring Zakari. You got all of those. But that is really key to note, that his 2 top played tracks in the last 14 days are his diss tracks. Everybody's liking the Not Like Us. And somebody was like, who was that? One of the DJs was saying, Not Like Us has kind of like a ether sound, Nas ether sound. And it really does when you think about it. I was like, oh, that's where I heard it from. Because it's like, it's like a really catchy sound. And so that was really clever to use that sound there. I mean, it's not the exact sound, of course, but it's really similar. So that's really key to note. Brands. Okay, so the top audience, brand affinities. And this is, again, people that tend to follow these brands are this artist's top followers, okay? That's how you read it. So we got the NBA for Kendrick Lamar at the top, Nike. And as y'all saw, Nike and the NBA, they were also in Drake's top brand affiliations. These are not the one, mind you, this list is not saying that they're affiliated with these brands. It's saying that the followers of those brands are the top followers of these artists. All right. The Lakers, Los Angeles Lakers. That's no surprise, Kendrick Lamar being from California. Vans, Supreme, and Beats Electronics. So the NBA is his. I was actually surprised when I saw that, because I was like, I don't remember the NBA really like, followers of the NBA. You know what, that does make sense, because his audience is mainly male. So that actually does make sense with the males that follow him. But anyway, so I did want to mention, I wanted to shed some light on that, because a lot of people don't realize these things, especially when they see certain brands having issues with the beefs and stuff like that. This is where it stems from, because their analysts they're signed up with these different music analytics software, and they're checking this regularly. They have these charts and graphs going straight to their email in a PDF format. You know what I mean? So they're checking these regularly, because they don't want anything to hurt their brands. But that's just an overview of what's been going on. I just wanted to show you guys, because a lot of people don't understand that, and I wanted to give you some background behind that, because it's really important. Beefs. Now, don't get me started with the JT Suki beef, because that one is something totally different going on. But I definitely want to just say overall that just keep in mind, as you cheer for your favorite artist, it's fun and everything. You know what I mean? It's part of hip hop. A lot of people may disagree with that, but it is part of hip hop to have that sport, competitive sport competition type of thing going on. But at the same time, when it starts getting serious like that, you kind of have to, be more mindful of what you're saying about the artist, because it could trigger somebody and stuff like that. So you kind of want to still be cordially nice at the same time as you're having fun with it at the same time, if that's even possible to do. But I do want to thank you guys again for tuning in to the Red My Black Show with your girl KeyIce. Make sure you follow me on all of my platforms. And let's see if I have a banner. Do I have a special banner for myself? I think I do. And where is it? What is it, y'all? Looking for it. I moved my banner. Hold on. I took my banner off. Oh, here we go. Bam! Follow at official KeyIce on IG, TikTok, and X, aka Twitter. It's been a pleasure. I had a really fun time speaking with Renee Audrey today. Make sure you guys follow her as well at renee.aud on Instagram. And she's on all other platforms. And follow her on all of your major streaming platforms as well. Thank you guys. It's been a pleasure. And hopefully next week we'll have Grandmaster Bass Monstar with us. Peace.